Woo! What's how y'all doing right now? Let a few people get in. Testing, testing. One, two, three. Testing, testing, testing. If you're in the building, say woo. Say hello. Give it a couple minutes, let it fill out a little bit. I'm gonna tell you one thing about this joint. This whole thing about Kevin is really, really, really showing its ass. What's up, everybody? Because we're gonna have a little bit of a talk right now. We're gonna have a little bit of a talk. What's up, Lolita? Indigo Flow. How y'all doing? You know what's messed up about this whole Kevin Samuels passing? They're showing a lot of stuff. This whole Kevin Samuels passing has proven Kevin right even after his death. And you know what that is? It is the fact that black women do not like male leadership. It's the fact that everything he said was true. People get mad at. People get upset. People want to shut him down. Oh, he hates women. How does he hate women? Anytime you tell the average black woman about themselves that they're doing something wrong, oh, you're just hating. How is that possible? I, I'm trying to figure that out. On Facebook, Twitter, I've never seen such foul shit in my life. I never did. These are the so-called Christian women talking about it. Didn't I'm back. Shit. Oh, I'm gonna finish what I was saying. I notice everybody wants to call me when I'm on a live stream, but when I'm not doing anything the whole time, it's funny. One, I'm trying to imagine this, right? You got you got a bunch of people who, one, praising this man's death like they overcame something. Oh, God don't like ugly, but aren't you still single, fat, and got multiple kids by multiple men? Maybe that's your punishment. Maybe that's your punishment. Have you ever noticed that you can't even formulate a conversation with people, man? So much so that you can ask the average black woman what nastiness and what things did Kevin Samuel say that ruined black women. What did he say? Well, I don't want to get it started. That's black women for I don't know. I don't have anything to legitimately say. You haven't sat down and watched 3 shows and said he is wrong, but y'all the ones who say, "Oh, that bitch don't deserve this." You gonna tell me some chick who's overweight with multiple kids, hell, even one kid, and a nasty attitude, she's gonna get a high value man? There are pretty chicks who can't get a high value man. Let's just break that shit down. You're right, Miss KP Bailey. Let's make up something real quick. You know what it's proven? You're proving to all the black men out there and all the black boys that we ain't shit to you. If a black man tells the truth, if a black man stands up for masculinity and families, y'all don't want it. How is it that we're against a guy who says, be the best that you can be? We're against that, right? Why? Why are we against that? Why are we so against being the best possible person you can be? So when black men have a standard, we're against that, right? When black men said, "No, we're not going to deal with somebody who's contradictory to my lifestyle," we can't do that, right? We can't do that, right? When black men say, "Hey, we're not going to accept this behavior anymore," we're wrong, right? See, the black community has proven something very, very distinctly. You don't want male leadership. You don't want men to tell you what to do. You don't want anybody to be honest with you. You really don't. You really don't. You really don't. You want black men to just go into the corner and stay fucking quiet. That's all. You want black men to accept your mediocrity, but we have to bring our best. Ain't that about a bitch? Do you think shit like that's fair? No, it's not. You're convincing young black men and making a valid convincing that you're not to be trusted. You go out of your way to circumvent the leadership of black men. You get your little degrees, and for some odd reason, you use your degrees to keep the black community stagnant. And let's face it, a lot of these chicks' degrees are in something that's bullshit that won't change the world. And I look at a sister funny when she has a teaching degree. What are you doing with the boys? If you don't have a good success rate with the boys, then fuck you. I'ma say it. I think black men should be on some fuck you, prove it shit. That ain't being bitter. That ain't being mean. Fuck you, prove it. What do I get out of being with you? Your disdain, your hatred, being vile. What do I get out of being with you? Like really, I want you to logically, and this goes for both the men and the women who have sons. What logical reason would you tell your son to date a black woman in today's time? And I date nothing but black women, but tell me, I want somebody to be in the chat and tell me what logical reason you would tell your son to date a black woman. What logical reason you would tell your son to date a black woman? Especially since we're getting shown on various social media outlets of what you think of one Kevin Samuels. Please, I dare you to take a logical step and tell me if you think we're doing well as a community, we're doing well, and we're gonna sit back and tell our sons you should get you a good black woman. But this is how they think of you. This is what they tell you. And see, it's not Kevin Samuels who's painting the picture of how black women are. It's black women themselves. You go out of your way to say and convince your boys what? Not worth the juice. It's not worth the juice. And look who's been proving it. For 2 years, night after night, day after day. It was black women proving themselves a donkey fool. It was black women, not black men making fun of them. Think about that. I want you to really think about that. It wasn't black men making them look foolish. Not even the closest. Not even the closest. Foolish. Foolish as all hell. I want you to really think about that. I want somebody to really give me that answer in the chat right now. Would you condone your sons to date the average black woman today? Would you allow him to get married to you? After seeing all this stuff said about Kevin, after seeing all this stuff, how they treat a man and his death. I'm sorry. You have no legitimate reason to tell me anything else. You have no legitimate reason. It's not even funny. It's actually pretty fucking sad if you think about it. If you really legitimately think about it, it's sad. It's sad. What you don't realize is you just condemned Black American women for 2 generations. What is it? You didn't like Kevin because of the way he delivered it, but yet y'all can say whatever funky shit you want and not be checked. You don't like it because everything he said was true. I don't get it. You've proven him right. You would think if somebody says, well, this person doesn't get good grades, best way to prove it, get good grades. But you go out of your way, and I mean go out of your way to show how ugly a people you can be. Oh, God don't like ugly. No, God doesn't like ugly. That's why you're single. That's why you're overweight. That's why you have no men. I'm starting to believe it's a waste of fucking time to even save this goddamn community. It's a waste of goddamn time. Half the men in the community don't run it. I've never seen a bunch of women that will go out of their way to sabotage happy relationships. Even her, the chick, she thought that she could get more money from a man. She got the man, and what happened? She got divorced and married the man and found out the man didn't love her. And now she's crying. Now she's crying. Is this what you give your sons? This is what your son has to listen to. A woman divorcing him because he doesn't make enough money. Not putting in his heart to make money, not supporting him, but you're going to divorce me just because I don't have enough money that you think I should have. What do we get out of it? You got Africa. You got 54 countries of black women. You got Europe. You got the Caribbean. Of course, they've been talking smack for more than a decade. Shit, centuries. 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 We don't get the respect. For what? For what? All you are is a tool. That's all the fuck you are. Who the hell wants to deal with a bunch of miserable ass women with a bunch of kids? And the only thing you can say, if you can't do nothing for me and my kids, you need to go. Okay, okay. And here's the harshness of it. When Kevin said he wants the women to be fit, fit, friendly, and feminine. What's wrong with that? You'll shut down Kevin, but you'll praise Lizzo. You'll shut down Kevin, but you praise Lizzo. You don't even want to be in your best shape. All the shit that you accuse Kevin of being, that's you. All the things you say about the black manosphere, that's you. I don't see none of the detractors putting relationships together, bringing back strong black families. I don't even see y'all even saying, "Hey, give the sons to their father." Not one of these detractors, but yet they call Kevin toxic, but they won't listen to none of these Cynthia G, Paris Mulan, and all those other bullshitters who talk about abort black male babies. And YouTube's a son of a bitch for that too. Because they hear this shit and it's being said, but they'll censor us. But they'll censor us because we tell the truth. But they won't censor somebody to say abort male black babies. Motherfuckers literally talk about genocide and they won't abort them. They literally won't. You know why? Because that's how the world thinks of black men. It's all how you think of it. You don't give a fuck about our earnings. You don't give a fuck about our feelings. You don't give a fuck about our accomplishments. As long as we just make some money and then when we're not needed, go in a corner and die. But you know, it's a new day. It's a new fucking day. And black men are just taking their suitcases, taking their luggage, and walking right the fuck away. And rightfully so. Rightfully so. Because I'm going to ask this one question. At this point, why should black men stay? I'm looking for that one fucking reason. Why should we stay? This is what. This is the reason why your sons don't even like you. They've seen what you did to your fathers, to their fathers. Think about that. You think black boys ain't see what you do to their fathers when it comes to child support, child custody, and just the lack of respect you have for them? And you really think that's not gonna shape their minds on what the fuck reality is? I'm back. Let's look at the truth of this shit, man. Let's look at the real truth about this. I never saw a bunch of so-called Christian people dance on a dead man's grave. And I was on Twitter and I looked at this guy saying, "Well, this misogynistic." Da, 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 da. And then when you look further, he's a part of the alphabet community. Think about this. I'll tell you why. Because everybody hates black men. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, donate if you feel inclined. Here it is. A black man says he wants to see more black women marry black men, but he wants more black men to be appreciated, to be celebrated for their accomplishments, and not have all this one-way love affair. Think about it. Y'all love black men so much. What's the equivalent of black girls rock? If you allow anybody to shit on Kevin's name, I'm gonna look at you funny. Fucking funny. I'm gonna look at you completely funny. And you know what's funny? A lot of Kevin's fans were women. A lot of Kevin's fans were women. I've noticed the fit, friendly, and feminine women never had a problem with Kevin's message. I noticed that married women usually didn't have a problem with Kevin's message because we forget the old adage of hit dogs holler. By the way, Broken Blade, thank you for the $5 sticker. Talk to him. Talk to him all night.
Now for a lesson. You may have heard these words before, but I'll teach you what they really mean. Go beyond! Plus!
You know, that was a picture of our boy Kevin, putting a dent in feminism, by the way. And think about it. I want you to listen to what All Might said. Go beyond plus ultra. See, it's okay. It's okay for black men to always go beyond, but when you ask for your women, nah, that's too much. See, why are you here? See, this is the funny thing. We don't go to your spaces, but you're going to be a dumb motherfucker with a fake profile hiding behind something, you fucking coward. Dude, whoever got a fucking wrench, get rid of these motherfuckers, please. See, the no move represented feminism and simps. See, another troll. And then look inside. Everything I need is with me, Ashe. What are these little fake Afrocentric clowns? You ain't no real Afrocentric. See, first and foremost, y'all want to hold back into that single motherhood, get all the benefits, and do not a goddamn thing. And I repeat, not a goddamn thing. If a high value man gets a 2 bedroom apartment, that's because he wants to. If a high value man gets a studio, it's because he wants to. If he gets a studio apartment and he's saving all his money, who the fuck are you to judge? And see, this is the problem with the black community overall. You worry about the wrong fucking shit. And shout out to Valdez when he said, "You can't tell me shit about Kevin." You can't tell me shit about some of the people in this space. A lot of motherfuckers have opinions but never pay their dues. I like to quote Bret the Hitman Hart when he quoted, I forget the rock band's name, and this is how I feel about all these little matriarchal minions and strags and feminist bullshitters. And I quote, despite all your rage, you ain't nothing but a rat in the cage. Please write that down in the chat. Despite all that rage, you ain't nothing but a rat in the cage. And fundamentally, you have priced you haven't even priced yourself up. You went from being at Nordstrom's, the Gucci Louis Vuitton store, dwindling all the way down to Dollar General. And I'm not on no hate black woman shit. See, black men love black women so much, we don't even hate you. We're highly disappointed. When you said we weren't good fathers, we proved you wrong. Think about that. We're disappointed more than we hate you. Thank you. 2 bed condo overlooking the water is fine with me. Thank you. We don't even hate you. We're disappointed with you. When you said we weren't good fathers, we galvanized to make sure we were the best fathers. And even the government proved it. We even got to the point where we have more black men in college than in jail. But no, it's never good enough. We became bricklayers, plumbers, teachers, doctors, police officers, firefighters, military personnel, all different type HVAC, armed security, truck drivers. We became all these high paying jobs, and it's never good enough. Never good enough. And we're so highly disappointed. But yet, now the same people, when that black man is called Elaine McClown, and he goes somewhere else to another community, and he's praised and exalted, you are the same motherfuckers that'll get mad and say he's a sellout. He hates black women. No, 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 no. I'm today going to talk about the hatred black women have for black. You can only get as high as you allow your boys to learn. Write that down. You can only get as high as a community as you get your boys to learn. If you stagnate your boys, your community is done. Have you noticed that you get the degrees? The degrees y'all get are bullshit. Majority of you. But you go out of your way to hate, to hate when black men stand up and say, we're going to be the leaders and we're going to push this forward to the 21st to the 22nd century. Look who fights against the process. See, you can't hide it anymore. Thank God for social media. You can no longer hide your disdain for black men. You can no longer hide your disdain. And what's shameful is, there's a lot of brothers out there who want good wives. There's a lot of brothers out there who want good women. But this display of what y'all got to say about Kevin, y'all never, and see, here's the bad part. Y'all never even looked at a full show. Y'all never looked at episodes where he had peaceful conversations with women who just wanted to know and came to learn. Last time I checked, he was quoted saying, if you're nice to me, I'm nice to you. Let's get really real with the talk. Kevin never went off on the hinges without somebody going off on him first. And many a times, Kevin has been very patient. And you can almost say overly patient at times with some of those guests that he had come on. And he had to tell black women, in reality, everybody's not a 10. Everybody's not a 7, not an 8. He had to actually tell black women that what's wrong with an average woman being with an average man. How was he a hypocrite, please? How was he a hypocrite? What makes it really real, Kevin was married twice. Some of you motherfuckers weren't even married once. His appro- Jay, 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 how was the approach wrong? Don't block him. Don't see. I'm tired of people running around saying his approach was wrong. How was his approach wrong? Because sometimes the most bitter medicine is the best for you. What's up, electrician 480? Long time no see. I want you to make a repost. Don't block this dude. I want you to tell me how his approach was wrong. Because for decades we've been kissing Black Rose ass, telling him all these sweet nothings. But when we had to like tell him the truth, no matter how ugly or how pretty it may be, that's when we're wrong. Please tell me. Tell me. You didn't even see a goddamn channel. Because number one, I'm gonna tell you something about you, Jay. And I know you're trolling. Somebody probably does need to talk to your mom and daughter about reality. Somebody needs to talk to your daughter and mom and straight up give them the facts. If your daughter's not a supermodel, she's not a 10. Somebody needs to talk reality to your damn mother. Because half the time, your mother probably put you in a fucking mind frame that's fucked up in the first place. Especially if she's in a state of bitterness. And if your daughter is of college or dating age, yes, maybe she needs to be talked to in a stern way. The show was a troll show. If you wanted to help people, you can't expect them to understand you while embarrassing them. Yeah, that's the best part. He didn't embarrass them. They embarrassed themselves because they thought they could get away with saying, "I'm an 8," and you know you're a 4. They went up there. Have you ever noticed that Kevin always asks, "What do you rate yourself?" And he never gave them a rating until they rate themselves. Even with his viral video, Average at Best, the lady gave herself a 5. And see, these are the type of men, if this is even a man, even if this is a man, that don't get it. Up here comes another jackass. How did he abuse women? How many women mentally and physically abuse men in courtrooms, calling the police, but you don't say shit about it? Matter of fact, Queen Bluntness, here's the link. I'm giving you and Jay time to come up here. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. And in the words of Kevin, in the words of Kevin, we're gonna we're gonna we're gonna have a conversation. We're gonna have a damn good conversation. Moderators, get the clock rolling. I want Jay and Queen Bluntress to bring themselves up here. There's the link for you. You got 2 minutes. Tell me how you abused them. But see, I'm tired of this cowardly. Hey, Sunny Days, you can come up here too. Because I'm tired of the bullshit of all these trolls and everybody else saying shit that's not true. Frozen 6 said Charles Barkley been making fun of big women for 15 years and women got in their lingers. Shout out to hell. Talk to him, Prince Adam. Talk to him.
By the power of Grayskull.
Last time I checked, people complaining I got the power. Y'all got 2 minutes to get your ass up there. I'm sick and tired of you motherfuckers coming up in here. Yeah, you're trolling. Yeah, you're trolling. Yeah, you're trolling. Yeah, you're trolling. See, I think it's mighty funny that nobody wants to come and back up their statements. I think it's mighty funny that I'm giving you the opportunity to explain yourself and y'all run. See, back in the day, y'all don't know me before I even started my channel. I was with Angry Man, BGS, and others, Cerulean, Wrench, Crimson Cure, going to other people's panels, debunking their bullshit. So anybody coming up here is just another day at work for me. Charlie, what's up? Royale, what's up? Chaos Ranger, Chief Engineer, what's up? And see, there it is, right? There it is. There it is. I give them the opportunity to come in, speak their piece. Speak their piece. You know what? Mr. Chronic Black, because this is how they really feel. This is how they really feel. Right now, Derek Jackson is live in effect. We got one. How you doing?
Hello. Fine. My name is Orissa Michelle. I actually wanted to, I just ran across your channel literally within the past 10 minutes. Uh, but I just want to say rest in peace to Kevin Samuels. Can you hear me?
How you doing, love?
Hello. Hi. I just wanted to say rest in peace to Kevin Samuels. I loved his content. I am a mother of 4 adult sons. Um, as much as I support him, I catch a lot of trolls over him. It is unbelievable. But it's just so sad that, we don't want to grow. I'm just going to be honest with you. Black women, we do not want to accept accountability for absolutely nothing. And it's very sad. And until then, we're never going to grow. I mean, but I think that, you know what? I did a video about this. And I said, Kevin Samuels actually proved something. He proved something with his death, that you can very well outlive your children. Because you get these women on his show and saying, oh, well, he asked them about retirement, and how they're going to make a living to the end of life. A lot of them, they say, they claim they're going to have this money, which we know they won't have. Then they resort to say, oh, well, my kids will take care of me. You just proved, he proved that you can outlive your kid. What are you going to do to prioritize your life without a relationship to help you in retirement, or you save a lot of money? Most of us won't have the money. We keep thinking that we're gonna go make all this money, this 6-figure income, right? But with 6-figure income comes 6-figure lifestyle. You're not gonna sit up here and say that you make $100,000 a year and you are.
Look at this. This is the ugliness that they shown that you just talked about.
Oh, I see. Oh, yeah. Trolls like that. I don't worry about people like her, because people like her are miserable. And I've been dealing with them since I've been supporting Kevin Samuels, because that's the ignorance. But a lot of them won't even understand what he was saying until it's too late. So let the ignorance begin. My thing is,
I'm actually a real big question. And how old are your sons?
My oldest son is 34. One is 31. One will be 30 next month, and then my youngest is 28. And I have 2 daughter-in-laws, and one son is engaged. So out of my 4 sons, they have spouses. I only have 2 grandbabies.
So I'm gonna ask this question, right? What would happen if your son brought a woman like this home?
They wouldn't. Because let me tell you why. My sons already know what they already knew what type of woman they couldn't bring home. They already knew. They know my personality. My daughter-in-laws and I, we have a very good relationship. They're nice traditional women. They're all college educated, but they were raised differently than these women nowadays. They're really awesome. But if they were to bring home something like that, I would probably disown my son. Make better choices in women. These are not the women that just posted. She's not a good woman. She's not good. She's not gonna
Mm-hmm.
be a good. She's just not. To
Can
make,
I ask you a question? Was that rude to you?
I'm 50.
No, 50. Don't even look it.
Yeah,
Were,
I have my
were you
kids
just
young.
were you disrespected while you've been up here?
Only that one person that's saying speak for yourself, but you know what? That's fine.
No. If you look at the chat, everybody's like, "Get this woman her own show," because last time I checked, you raise fully functional boys who two out of your four are married. One's engaged, and one's probably doing well for himself anyway, like the others. So
Yeah, 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 yeah.
so fundamentally,
hmm
when we talk about the honesty, why do you think they get so wrapped up in their own feelings when it comes to men telling them, hey, this is the standard we present, this is what we want out of you, fit, friendly, and feminine? Why are they
They don't
being
want to. They lazy. Kevin Samuels said it. They're lazy daters. They don't want to. They don't want to go to the gym. They don't want to change their attitude. They don't. They want you to just accept them where they are. That's it. Take us the way that we are. Take our bad attitudes because it's your fault. The reason why we this way. They don't want to change. They don't, and it is very sad. It's very sad. Like, you want your sons to bring home a woman like this to you? Like a lot of things that Kevin Samuel says, he was right. Like my oldest son, he's a physician assistant, so he makes
mm,
150, 60, $70,000 a year.
high
Um,
value?
yes. His wife, she didn't work at first, but she has a degree in accounting. So, and they do have two kids, my two grandsons. They're 6 years apart. One is 7 and one is 1.5. So, I think that I did pretty good being a young divorced single mom, you know.
Pretty
Um,
good. You,
yeah,
you pretty much you, you pretty much broke the freaking mold.
yes, yes.
Pretty good would be the understatement of the year. Like, think about this. And,
hmm
and we said this before. How a mother looks at her sons is how her son is going to be cultivated.
Yes,
Why?
yes.
Think about that. You saw your
hmm
son is great. He's doing great.
hmm
You one hell of a job and salute. And see,
Thank you.
this is all we ask. You
That's
you ever
right.
know we never ask women about their degrees? We never ask them about what type of job you have. We want to know about your character.
Let me tell you, after my daughter-in-law got her degree in accounting, my son asked his wife, "Do you want to work? You don't have to." He said, "Even if you work part-time." That's what he told her. So, people can say what they want about Kevin Samuels, but everything that he said aligned with my sons. I look how my sons grew up. One of my sons, my oldest son, before he found his wife, he wanted a woman that was childless. And
Mm-hmm.
he would meet women with kids. He did date one woman with a child, but he was like, I want my own family. He said, Ma, is it so bad that I want my own family, a woman with no kids? I said, no. He said, you
Yeah.
want me to be honest? I said, yes. So, but you have women who would take that and be like, well, why don't he want a woman with kids? Your mom was a single mom. I'm a divorced mom. Now, my
Like,
oldest son was born out of wedlock. I was just 15 when I had him, but I
yeah, man.
married the father of my second son. Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, nobody. See, what happened was you learned from what happened. I'm gonna never call a child a mistake, but you learn from your experience,
That's right.
and you fixed it because you became a wife.
hmm
How some way a man said this is a wife,
Right.
and that's the part where a lot of women confused that Kevin never talked about women who were wives, because
That's
even
right.
the divorcee, you still quartered the mission of making sure I got boys to raise.
Yeah.
I can't
And
allow
another,
fall.
that's right. No, I was listening to you. I'm sorry, it was a delay. You good.
Okay, you good. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say how very important it is that their fathers be in their life.
Can you
Um,
say it again for the Negroes in the back not listening?
it is very important that their fathers be in their life. Let me tell you, my oldest son father, he probably did about 5 things for his oldest son, for my oldest son. Okay. But I never told him he could never, ever, 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 ever see his child. I don't care how inconsistent he was, because he had to deal with the consequences, not me. And when my sons got old enough, they ended up living with their father, because it's so important. It's
Mm-hmm.
so important that these Black men be in their father's life. I mean, be in their children's life. Now, when me and my ex-husband, when we got a divorce, it was 50-50 joint custody. I asked for no spousal or no child support. Unfortunately, with state of Alabama, he had to go on child support and all that stuff. But, so we worked it out this way. Look, when you have the kids in the summertime, don't pay me no child support, because you guys still got to pay this stuff. Although the kids are living with you in the summer, I can still get this money. You got to be fair. You have got to be fair as a parent. That's not only is that both of your children, but according to DNA, that the percentage is mainly the man's. It's like, I know with my son, we did this heritage DNA thing. He was like 54% of his daddy's and 46% of mine, and something like that. So whatever, it add up to 100. So
Yeah.
it's like he got more of his daddy DNA. Like, we have got to co-parent. That's the only way you're going to be able to have functional children. Now, I chatted with a young lady before, and she was upset because the child's father didn't speak to her when he came and got his children. I said, well, he come and get his kids though, right? You just said that. She said, yeah. So what difference does it make the man speak to you? So you mad at this man, barely wanting to see his kids now because he don't speak to you? We got to be more mature as parents. We have got to be mature.
Can you say that again? Jesus Christ.
Yes, we got to be mature when you raise kids. Look, when my ex-husband and I, we got a divorce, it wasn't easy. Did we get along? Absolutely not. But you know what? You gonna come get these kids. You don't like me, I don't like you, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop the kids off over to your mama's house, and you can go over to your mother's house and get your sons. You have got to find a way to be a person to make sure that man is in their life, period. Because a Black woman, me raising sons by myself, it was going to be very, very hard to do it by myself.
Yeah, I'm a
Yeah.
single parent. And I don't like saying I'm a single parent because his mother's still around.
Mm-hmm.
I had to take, people know me. I'm a soldier, and I'm a cop, so my mouth can be from articulate like Shakespeare to downright dirty like a soldier or a sailor. And
Mm-hmm.
she knows me very well. When we have a conversation and I said we need to talk and I'm not cursing, she knows that I'm busy.
Right.
And I told her because she has 2 other kids by another dude.
Okay.
I had to warn her because she was slacking.
Mm-hmm.
I said, one, don't make your son resent you because you have 2 other kids you spending more time with.
Yeah.
I'm not keeping him away from you. If it's 3 o'clock in the morning, you want to see him, here you go. Now, make sure it's a good reason, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
But here it is.
Mm-hmm.
You got to do more. And like you said, you got to be responsible and you got to be reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless how the relationship works out, you are both connected for life.
Absolutely. Yeah. No matter what. Yeah. Absolutely. No matter what. You're going to see them, and you're going to see your exes at the graduation. You're going to see them at the wedding. You're going to see them, like when my ex mother-in-law passed away, now we patched up our relationship since then. My kids are old heads, so no reason for us to argue. And I get along with his wife. Their kids love me. He has a set of twins with his wife that he's been married to. We got a divorce in 96. He remarried in 98. He's still married to her. You have got to find a way to co-parent. I just cannot stress it enough with boys. I just cannot stress it enough. Now, there are some women out there, because I have a girlfriend who she lived with her dad, and her mom was the other side, and she struggled with her relationship with her mom. So, we just got to find a way to be in our children's life, no matter what, because it's very important. It's so important, especially boys. I do know that boys will resent you. They will resent you. Oh my God, they're so hard at that. So you got to be careful, because my oldest son, his dad is trying to patch things up 35 plus years later. And they finally had a talk, and thank God they're trying to get on a better grounds with each other, but it wasn't because of me. And my oldest son father know that, so I didn't have an issue with him. I just wish he had been more consistent with his son. That's because that's his only child. My oldest son is my oldest son's father, only kid. Now I went on to have a total of 4, but he only had one. And I'm like, you only got one kid. You can't take care of him, but whatever.
Oh yeah. Let me see who else is in here. Who else is in here? We have Real Empress Lori B and the Creative Mind Bree.
Hello, panel.
How you
Hello.
All
doing?
right.
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing
Good.
I'm
Good.
doing fine.
I want to say thank you for bringing forth the legacy of Mr. Kevin Samuels. Second of all, I want to let you guys know, because I saw as soon as I typed something in the chat, everybody went at me. I'm not a kid. I'm 52 years old. I have one child, and he's 33. I
So we got
called.
two more ladies tonight, huh?
I
Nice.
called into Kevin's show once before, maybe a year ago, and he gave me my props for not having multiple children and multiple
Mhm.
kids' fathers. So I want to say that I'm not against anything that he said. What I said was to Miss Michelle
Mhm.
was speak for yourself about everybody not wanting to grow, because that wasn't true for me. So I
Uh,
just felt free to say
she
that's
didn't say it in a way where it meant everybody, but a lot of people just
Yeah.
don't. A lot of
okay.
people don't.
I,
A lot,
I
Yeah, it's a general statement. When we say
yeah,
that, we got to get out of the term that we talking about you. Because when
okay.
somebody make a general statement, even with Kevin Samuels, because he said some things, but if I had taken it personal, then, but no, and definitely if it doesn't apply to you, then you know what I mean. And it's
I
not, I'm not trying to be funny, but yeah. But in general, it's tough out here, and
I
with our mind growth as Black women.
I didn't interrupt anyone. I let everybody talk. So what I was saying was, Miss Michelle, that
Mhm,
wasn't in. I wasn't saying that in a way to offend you. I was
mhm,
just saying that not me. I am growing. I have multiple businesses. I'm
mhm,
raising my 3 grandchildren. I was at. I had a single life for a long time. I was married before, and now I'm
mhm,
divorced. So I
mhm,
had an empty nest. My son went on to college. I have an
mhm,
empty nest, and now I'm raising my 3 grandchildren. So what I was saying is that I'm
mhm,
still growing. That's all I want
mhm.
to say. So can you have your mods unblock me? I'm here for good, not bad. Shabbat, everyone.
Yeah.
if somebody blocked her, I just unblock her.
Yes,
Um,
Shabbat, guys. Thank you.
just, just, just make sure. What's your name in the chat?
The real Empress.
The Real Empress. Just unblock her now.
Mhm.
Creative Mind Bree. Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Doing well. Styling and profiling. And how old are you?
32. I'll
32.
be
Okay.
33 next Friday.
I'm
Oh,
happy.
nice.
I
So
remember
I just
33. That was like 7 years ago. Whew. But
okay.
go ahead.
Okay, so when I first started listening to Kevin Samuels, it was in my life when I was turning my life around, when I started going to church. So most of the stuff that he was saying, I was hearing from church anyway. It was stuff that we need to hear because we don't have the things of the Bible. People are going off society. So a lot of Black people, really, that's the reason why a lot of women are not listening, is because they don't see it. They're blind. We have a lot of spirits that we have to get rid of. So it's blinding them, so they're thinking that everything that they're saying, they're really believing that they're right. So they have to start looking at their life and start realizing like everything I did up to now is not working.
Did she borg out?
It's
I
probably
think so.
Oh, you
me.
probably borging out.
Argue with him.
Oh, go ahead. You're back. You're back.
Okay, so
We
did I get
missed
cut
about
off?
30. We missed about 30 seconds of what you were saying.
Okay, so I was saying that a lot of us have to get back to getting these spirits away from us, the just the sexual spirits that we have, different types of spirit. Because I was listening to him, I would get mad, but I would not cuss him out or anything. That's just like to tear the ego down. I would sit back and look at the things that was in my life and say, he's right. I have multiple um kids by different fathers, and I had a spirit. I was possessed. I was doing things that was pleasing the devil, and at that time I knew I was. But I had to slow down and I had to meet God for who He was, and be real with myself and say the things that I'm doing is not right. My kids' father are they know their dads, but they're not on child support. We have good relationships now, especially listening to a man like you and Kevin Samuels that guided me. You guys were my uncle figures, a brother, certain things like that. The things that I didn't have, the positive role models in my life. So I appreciate it, and I think a lot of women need to take that pain that they're feeling when it hits them and really sit down and think about it for a while. Take a week or so and then look at your life and say, if I want change for me and my children, I have to change something and I have to accept it, because the black community is going to we're going to go back. We're going to fall. We can't go back like that.
Yeah, you're right, because ultimately what happened in the black community is this. Black men have always been put on trial. They've always been made to say, well, it's your
Hello.
fault. Hello. Hey, yeah, you're back. And
Okay. Okay.
ultimately what happened was is that black men were always made to be put on trial and always have to reflect. And for decades, we never put the same type of reflection on the women. That's why you think Shahrazad, our sister, it's kind of funny calling her sister, but the mother sister, the great mother, Shahrazad Ali, when she was in the late 80s, early 90s, coming out with her book, and she got so much heat for it because she said everybody for two, three, 400 years made a critique of the black man, but there was never a critique of the black woman and her treatment of her family, her men, her children, and her community. And see, you know, Felicia Rashad, hallowed be her name, said it best. Where the women go, so does the culture. See, men are very important when it comes to building society, but women are equally as important when it comes to building and maintaining culture. Because what you teach your children, they're going to make a reality. And what happened is when you come out of that reality, those are the fruits that you bear. This is the reason why people would like the single mother thing. No, you can't be proud of being strong because strong is a masculine adjective. What women forget to say, you're resilient. Women are resilient. Even biologically, women are resilient. You have a higher immune system than men. You have a higher nurturing component than men. You're resilient. Men have to be strong because we have to challenge the environment. After we chop the trees down, fight the beast off, that's when the woman's job kicks in of maintaining. And see, when you maintain and cultivate and look at your children, there's something to cultivate. You ever seen your aunts and your grandmothers go in the back and plant flowers or plants? They're cultivating. They want it to grow. They want it to get as big, as firm, as strong as it could be. Why can't we do that for our children?
Hmm. Yeah.
Why, what's wrong for black men to say we want black families and this is what we want out of our wives?
Right.
You want your sons to have a standard? Yes. People be like, well, what about the daughters? I want the same thing to them, but guess what? Your daughters are not the ones who are critical. We have to literally look at reality and admit that.
Yes.
That's true. That's true. I want to say something to the creative mind of Bree. I know that she said that she had multiple kids by multiple men. Don't look, you're not alone. I tell people I'm from a baby mama. My mama had me at 15. She had 3 kids by 3 different men. You are not alone, but it's all about the outcome you want for your children. My mother was a registered, she was a licensed LPN. She died young. She died in 2008 at 51. Um, and she pushed me to, go to college. And she wasn't happy about me having kids, trust me. But just know that, that's your testimony. You can definitely have a good outcome for your children. And you already started it because you changed the mindset. Once you change your mindset, then, I'm not sure she's still on, then, you keep just going from there. You know what I mean? Yeah, because you can change. You can change. I've heard Kevin Samuels even say that, you gotta do the work, but it can change. So, shout out to her, and I'm sure she's a great mom to her kids, and and that her kids are gonna do well because they're
Yeah.
gonna be taught by a good mom. Yeah.
Ultimately, you want to marry before you carry, but we
Hmm.
don't live in a perfect world.
Hmm.
And if you do have children out of wedlock and you seek a husband, there's going to have to be change. It's just like no difference if I tell a dude who wants a woman, hey, before you lay, you better be able to pay. Like, you got to be the provider.
Yes.
So, what happens to a lot of people is that a lot of people actually don't understand that in order for a society to move forward, you gotta get out from under yourself, and you gotta say, I can't ask what my community could do for me. I gotta ask what I could do for my community sometimes.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And what comes that I'm not gonna knock a single mother who changed. I'm gonna knock a single mother who doesn't.
That's
Yeah.
right.
I'm gonna knock the lady who says, I don't need a man. Huh?
Right.
I pity,
Oh, I hear that.
I
I'm
pity,
gonna knock the woman who keeps her kids away from their father for no damn good reason.
I pity her, Mr. Faulkner, because I'm very self sufficient, but I still need a man. I
That's
still
right.
I
You
was
can you say that for the back of the? Can you say that again for the Negroes in the back? Throwing in paper airplanes and passing notes that says, "Do you like me? Yes, no, maybe so." Say that again one more time.
okay. Lonely, and I grew up with two parents, and I watched my loving family. I watched my parents, build on love and compassion. So I miss all, I know it, so I miss all of that. But I want to tap on something else you said about, well, women being resilient, more resilient than men, because I'm an end of life doula, and that's correct what you said. Women are more prone to live longer than men, and that is true what you said, because I see it often,
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you gotta
often.
realize
Mhm.
something. You gotta realize
Mhm.
something. Men have to. One of the reasons why men don't live as long typically is because we're taking on the hard burdens. Y'all don't have to.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And here's the part where Kevin said it best, and I put it on my Facebook and my Instagram. He said, I want to see black women with black men, but I want black women to cherish and respect what black men bring because there's a lot of burdens being a man, I could tell you, that we put on our shoulders that women may never comprehend.
Mhm.
There's things that we have to put on our shoulders. Think about it in Katrina. There were men who had their entire families on their backs walking through water knowing what God knows what was in that water.
Mhm.
There were men who rescued single women and old elderly women, carrying them in their hands, keeping above water, and their neck, waist, and knee deep.
Yes.
Mhm.
And you got to realize this: a man will die happily for his family to to actually progress. And you gotta, and this is the part that it gets to that every black man says. If you gotta be that type of woman that's worth sacrificing for. And
Yes.
that's the problem. When I tell women, yo, the least you could do is give me respect. I gotta give up. You want me to protect you 24/7? The least you could do is give me respect.
Mm-hmm.
That's bottom floor. Think about it. There were men in Katrina that had to wrestle some of the creatures that came out the zoo to save their families in Katrina.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they gave their life or killed the beast. So fundamentally, we have to realize something that one, we need to rebuild the respect factor between men and women. Two, we need to come to the table and actually have talks like these.
Yes.
And the women who are 40, 50, 60, and older, y'all gonna have to take some of these sisters underneath their wing while they teenagers and in 20s.
Yeah.
True. That's
Yeah.
what the Bible says.
Y'all gonna have to do that, just like we have to do it for the younger men. And what happens is that, and this is what I'm get upset about Facebook, not Facebook, YouTube. You have some of these channels who are just staunch man haters with no substance at all, talking about aborting black male babies.
I heard that. Oh my God, that's awful.
Didn't see
And,
that.
and they get their channels not only get to be monetized and make all kinds of money, but think about this. Who the hell is going to protect you? Who is going to lead your families if that was possible? Who's going to do that? We forget that the importance of men and women is that we're not equals, we're complementary.
Mhm.
No woman I've ever dated was equal to me. I wasn't equal to her. We were just complemented each other well.
Mhm.
It's like she was the softer side of Sears, like they used to say. Matter of fact, the Sears still exists. she, but and it's like what we fail to realize is this: the more we're willing to make changes, the better off we are. The more we realize our faults and build up from them, and look at our greatness and build from it, the better off we are. Now, it's funny because the Black Manosphere gets tagged as the woman hating group, but as you can see, we went on the panel, and were any of you disrespected?
No.
No, I have. If you went to my archives, you might see me yelling cuss at a woman because she yelled and cussed at me, and I'm like, you're gonna get back what you give. And even then, I'm being patient, and I'm like, really, like you're not presenting the good character that you said you want for yourself. Like you got to remember, a lot of you women out there have daughters.
Mm.
You want your
Mm.
daughter to be in perpetual loneliness, and
Mm.
and that's what you got to say to yourself. Will my daughter forever be by herself? And I'm only 40. I just turned 40 last month, and I've
Okay.
seen women in my class, who are my graduating class, who have no children and no man.
Wow. Mm.
My mother's what, 63. It was unheard of to be a single woman.
Mm.
And
Wow.
that's how low the bar has become in the black community, where we came from men who have no standard and women who have no shame.
Mhm.
You couldn't do certain behavior around women, especially in a church back in the day. hmm All the mm-hms be synchronized.
Mhm.
The truth.
Matter of fact, man didn't have to check his woman. The women in her family would have checked her.
Right.
See, we didn't have, and see, back in the day, another thing that killed black relationships is that we don't have separate aisles where black men and black women can be. No, no, no. I want to go to the barber shop, but I want to go to the bar with you. No, we don't go to the hairdresser. We don't go to the brunch with you. No.
Yeah, you know, I want to add on to that what you said. You know, the thing is, you hear, oh my God, I just said this to a friend of mine this morning. He and I were talking, and I said, you know what? I hear more and more women that say they don't want to get married. Well, if you don't want to get married, fine. You don't have to get married. Well, this man doesn't owe you anything. Why do you want wife privileges without being his wife? That means if you don't want to get
Uh-oh.
married, he has every right to see other women, move with other women. He don't owe you nothing.
But Michelle,
Oh,
we had a thing going on, like me and Mrs. Jones.
Yeah, see, when my mom, in my era, my mom and my dad, they got into the crack era, so they were on drugs. So my grandmother had to raise me. So I get most of my morals from her, but I also was a hard headed child. So I was out and about, but I didn't know it was a trauma. I was just hurt because my mom and dad wasn't around, but I really wanted a family. So when I did start dating, well, I won't even call it dating. When I started, talking to someone, to me, they were already my boyfriend. We moving in, I'm cooking for them. So I didn't even have the mindset on how to do things. I'm watching Bad Girls Club, seeing them go out and drink. So I'm doing the stuff that they doing, thinking I'm grown now. But really, I'm just messing up my mind.
Hmm. And
And
see what?
so,
Oh, I'm sorry.
mhm.
Continue.
No, go ahead.
No, I was saying, notice how that's a case scenario looking for love in all the wrong places. And this is something I see, even though guys do it, but I see it more prevalent in women. It's because y'all the people who are the beings of the unknown. Y'all the masters of the emotional and the spiritual. Men are the masters of the mental and the physical. And when you take away certain aspects of how a mother is supposed to teach their daughter and how a father is supposed to love and protect his daughter, that person's going to look for that love. It's just no different than a boy searching out for a father figure. And what happens is, like you said about the Bad Girls Club, now you got Lizzo and other people, Hot Girl Summers. I said,
Mm,
you got to remember that hot girl summer can become a real blazing heat of a thing. Like,
Hmm.
hot girl summers, you get hot girl babies, you get hot girl STDs, you get hot girl problems.
yes.
Hmm.
And guess
yeah.
what? That body count goes up. And the more body count goes up, the more men are like, nah, that ain't white material.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get it, quit it. And,
Mhm.
Right.
you're going to have men going like this right here, like
Hmm.
my girl guitar.
They
It,
will.
getting low. And it's crazy because a lot of women give up their virginity to people who don't deserve it.
Yes.
And ultimately, when they figure that out, that makes a very bitter woman.
Mhm.
And it's crazy because it's like, yo, there are times, and guess what? I'm not saying I haven't been there, done that, and all the same. There are times when we need growth and actually speak. That's the reason why back in the day they call it a testimony,
Mm-hmm.
because you find out two things about your wounds. It shows you how much you healed and how much you overcome.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Right.
That's right.
Thanks.
And
Now,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I was just gonna ask. I'm sorry. I was gonna ask which city, which state or city everyone is in.
I'm
I'm
in
in Atlanta.
Atlanta, Georgia.
I'm in Houston, Texas,
Okay.
but
Who's in Atlanta?
I'm
I'm
highly
Me,
Baltimorean.
Bree. Hey.
Hey, it's Houston. Oh, nice.
I'm from Louisiana, but I've been living in Houston, Texas, 22 years.
No,
Nice. I never been to
so
Houston.
I could
Nice.
tell the accent, Louisiana ain't leave you.
Beautiful.
It's not Louisiana. It's Louisiana.
Louisiana.
Louisiana. She put the emphasis on that. Nah. Like it's not
No,
New Orleans. It's New Orleans.
no.
New Orleans. And it's
That's
fun because of my proper speaking self, Orleans. But I'm gonna put the chat for anybody else who want to come up
Okay.
and notice
mm,
that. And notice how a lot of the black manosphere we have people and we have different channels where if you're cordial to us, we're cordial to you. And if somebody comes disrespecting you and it's not called for, we'll check them. But if it's called for, you gotta take it. Tell them you gotta put your big girl panties and take it. You know.
yeah, and I think that's the whole thing with Kevin Samuel's content. It really depends how you perceive his information on where you are in life. Um, you know, I can, I can't get with the name called. I mean, people are really cheering him on. When I posted that he had passed away and it was confirmed, um, people were like, "Oh, I don't care," or "That's good for him," or like, I was, I was like, "Oh my God,
That was
you really think it's okay to this man? This man was taken away from his daughter. He was taken away from his mother, and you all are happy because of what? Because he called you Big Shirley? I mean, it's just what is it?
If somebody calls you Big Shirley, guess what? Last time I checked, a plate at Ruth Chris is 150. Two plates at Ruth Chris is like 150, and Planet Fitness is a $20 membership. So
Hello.
You gotta be real with yourself before you can ruin yourself like that. You have to look in the mirror and be real with yourself, not lie to yourself. Everybody looking for an itchy ear to make them feel good.
that is very true. And think about it. Black men like curves. So I mean, I know this is a new phenomenon to a lot of people.
Mhm.
I'm BGS. Shout out to the master teacher said it best. If black women worked out, they'd be undefeated. And it's funny if you got then there's nothing on earth that's more immaculate than a black woman in shape. And
Mhm.
then you're nice and feminine. Oh my God. Like
Mm-mm.
you'll literally have what's up, cousin T Tall, by the way? And you'll literally have the world on your feet to your feet. But it's funny because these colleges, this feminist ideology has told you the only way you can get ahead is to think like a man. Well, sorry, Steve Harvey, but I gotta go against that because if you think like a man, your ass is gonna be out without one. That's
You know.
And I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and get off so the men can talk. But I just want to say thank you for the content that you put out because I do grab my notebook when I see YouTube. I start to write notes to work on myself. So I'm very thankful for what you guys been doing. And Kevin Samuels, I was grateful for he was sending me, even my child's father was sending me the will discuss it, and I would agree on some things. So a lot of women think that he only was going on, going after black women, but he was also in the beginning talking to men. And a lot of people don't know that because they don't go and look for it and see what was he all about. So he don't only just talk to men, he talked to the black men and the black women to make our community better. You have to just take it in and we can get better. Even if you messed up, God know you messed up. And if he see everything and if somebody else it's true, then don't be so worried when somebody else say it. But
oh yeah,
yeah,
that,
I just want to say
that's the
thank you.
and thank you for the support. Like, share. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that bell twice. Don't be a stranger in these
Okay.
parts.
All right.
You're gonna love it when we do our shit talking. I have my PhD in that, by the way. Hey, what's up, cousin T Tall?
Salute, salute, salute to you, salute to the panel. I'm late. I know I'm late, so I missed a lot of
Salute.
valuable information. I know, um, but this entire weekend, like I sent you that text message earlier. This entire weekend has been upside down. Um, salute to you for hosting multiple panels. so that people have an opportunity to reflect on just the gravity of what's going on.
Yeah, salute to you too. And it's been a crazy week because personally myself, for a lot of my subscribers who didn't know, I was in the hospital for 3 or 4 days due to extremely high blood sugar.
Right.
It was so high. I'll put it to you this way. It was so high they were scared. They wouldn't let me go because they thought I would go to sleep and go into a coma.
Oh God.
Right.
And it's like, fortunately, through discipline, eating, people reminded me, can't eat that. and it's funny because I discipline. I'm a wrestler, so I know how to cut weight and be like, yeah, I can't eat that. And I got it down from 560 to 149.
I'm
Yeah,
proud.
I've never even heard of a number that high in terms of blood sugar.
It's funny because when I told EGS, when I texted him the number of how much it was, he said, God damn, you must be Superman. He's like, how the hell did you walk? I said, no, I just don't know, because it's like I'm the premier soldier. You carry on the mission, and that's why hopefully this month or next month when I get with Rodney and the lovely sister Shonda H, they're both nurse practitioners, and we're gonna do a Black Men Health Expo, because the one thing about it, you got a lot of women out there who lost their husbands way too soon, way too soon. They
And
lost their sons way too soon. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry for cutting it, but I wanted to say that I'm very proud of you for bringing that number down because, I have personal care homes and I take care of the elderly. And I've had a patient whose number been in the forest, and we had to transport her out to the hospital. So I'm very proud of you to be have discipline and get your number down. I pray that you continue to keep your number down and is regulated where it needs to be.
Oh yeah, we
But
gotta reverse this like the figure four, baby. Woo!
so I spend a lot of time here, and I appreciate you having me on your panel. And I'm going to drop down and let somebody else come up. I'm going to also.
Okay, just
Okay?
thank you. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to support. Come back and don't be a stranger.
I most definitely will. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Yes. And I'm going to say thank you for having me on as well. I'm also going to drop down, but I already subscribed, and I do have a YouTube channel. Just click on my name.
Let's type
I did
something in
post
the
a.
chat so to get your channel up there, because you probably made a few fans when you up here. So click, just type something and I'll give you a wrench so you can promote your channel so people can hear it, because this is what, in the spirit of Kevin Samuels wanted. He wanted women to speak openly. He wanted the conversations to start. And from your testimony of having a child young, being a married woman, being a divorcee, and successfully having sons who are married, engaged, and doing well in life, these are the stories that we need to hear from you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I thank you. I sure will. I'm going to put it down in the chat. And thank you for having me on. And great show. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cousin T Tom, the man, the myth, the legend.
Yes,
You are.
sir. Yes, sir. I don't want to take up too much time, in this space. I know.
Hey, you got all the man.
I mean, we want to keep it as civil as possible for as long as possible.
Exactly.
I'll be on that and now and again, but seriously, I think from all of the reactions and the responses that I've heard so far, or have been just listening to in and out, this sort of core group that knows or has actually interacted with and engaged with Kevin Samuels should be elevated as much as possible, because we talk about origin stories, right? Everybody's
Yeah.
into Marvel and DC and to Star Wars or whatever. It's all about the origin story, right? What group of people know about this particular origin story better than the core group? And I think that for as long as you, BGS, Dr. Johnson, and others who have been discussing and working out different conversational issues and topics and elements for years, in this space, and then passing that football to Kevin, as his platform ascended, this sort of origin story needs to be commemorated, and it needs to be, sort of etched in stone, because as the years go by, as time goes on, everybody in their mama gonna be like, well, I was there when it first started. I was there when he had 2 subs, and he wasn't talking about no. Everybody who was in this space should be elevated to a level of awareness, so that the memory is not forgotten. How it started is not forgotten. The reality of it is not forgotten. And so the memory never falls to the wayside. I remember one of the primary conversations that you and I had at that cigar place when we were talking.
Do it again. We gotta do it again.
Say again?
So I said we gotta do it again soon.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But if you remember, one of the conversations that we had was about leadership. And, obviously you were sharing, the examples from your experience with wrestling and coaching and, in the military. My experiences come from teaching, come from, the NFL on the security side, and things of that nature. I think one of the most important takeaways when we talk about leadership in this broader context, right, related to the events of this weekend, is that, and this speaks to something that people would always say about Kevin and his supporters. He would always say that the supporters of Kevin try to become many versions of him. Like people would say, "Oh, you're just like his sons or his mini me's or something like that." When I hear that and I think about what leadership looks like in real time, whenever I had a team or a crew of people that were responsible for an NFL field, be it the Bears, the Vikings, or the Buffalo Bills, when you're commanding a team, when you're leading a team, they have to look like you. It's called formation. And the purpose of a formation is so that you move as a unit and in unison. They need to move like the head of the pack. But one of the most important takeaways from that scenario is that I'm always looking to replace myself. Because if I can replace myself, then I can move up. And so the lessons that I taught my squad, the lessons that I taught the formation will stay with them. And then the next leader will lead that formation in his image. It doesn't mean that there are many versions of the leader. It just means that they're working in formation. They're working as a group in order to accomplish the objective. But people who are not used to leadership don't get that concept.
Mm-hmm. Speak on it, because a lot of people do not. That's one of the major problems in our community as Black people. We don't respect hierarchy. We don't respect leadership. Please speak on it.
Yeah, I would say this. I would say that we have a very interesting situation, okay? Because when we talk, so you've mentored boys and you've mentored men. When boys and men realize that they're in the presence of a true leader, what do? They fall in line.
Exactly.
Even the knucklehead, even the most outspoken, even the most rebellious one, when they recognize that you are the one that knows the way to go, you are the one who has put in the work, you know the protocols, you know the map, you know the route, instantly that masculine instinct falls into play. And like I said, even the most rebellious man will fall in line behind a true leader. But most people don't get to see that part of it in our community. Let me just put it that way. Because let's be honest, we got a lot of agents. We are surrounded constantly by agents. We have a
Oh
lot
yeah.
of interlopers. We got a lot of haters. We got a lot of people who, for lack of better words, they envy our position
Mm-hmm.
because we are in a very, very, very unique position in the world. Not only just in the national landscape, but just in the world. When we say something, when we put something out there, when we start a trend, that reverberates globally. Obviously, Kevin is a testament to that. When we start a trend, it reverberates globally. People literally kill for the opportunity to have that type of power, to have that ability to be a trendsetter. All we have to do is turn our hat to the side. All we got to do is take a fanny pack and put it over, across our body. It's a new fashion trend. All we got to do is kid out some Air Force Ones. All we got to do is shine up some Timberlands, and it's a global phenomenon.
Oh yeah.
Anything we do, we just breathe on something, and it becomes the latest trend, and we move the culture forward. That is a coveted position. So it's not that we're not natural leaders. I think that, and this is why I support this space so much, because when you have someone who has the experience, I'm going to use you as the example, but we can use anybody, right? We got the PhDs, we got so many people, but when we have somebody who has the experience, the real world experience, who has the stories, who has the network, who has the ability to communicate effectively the lessons that they've taken away from their lifetime, people are drawn to those things. People are naturally drawn to that power, and you get a lot of haters from that. You get a lot of haters from that, because with that power, you can reshape the narrative, and we
Mm-hmm.
already know what what the world thinks of our narrative,
Yeah.
due to the media, due to the programming, due to whatever complex you want to put out there, the industrial complex, whatever you want to cite as an example. We know what our overall group narrative looks like. Kevin referred to it as our ethnic image, right?
Yeah.
We go into the scenario knowing that we have all these things against us. However, we muster the internal fortitude based on our vision in order to present our stories, in order to present our perspective, in order to present our experience. A lot of people, and you already know, and let me bring it to our space for an example. When we talk about game,
Yeah.
so many people get up in arms because the overwhelming narrative, or the mainstream narrative, is confusion.
Mm-hmm.
So when you see men who are resound and resolute in what they like, what we desire, okay, we like those figure eights, we like those Coke bottle bodies, we like, what I'm saying, we like cooperation, we like the type of scenarios that lead to the best exchange possible, the best intimate exchange possible with desirable women.
Exactly.
And we're unapologetic about it. But that pushes up against the mainstream narrative. That pushes up against, people thinking that we're the trash men of the world, right? And so that makes them uncomfortable, and it makes them want to attack that. And, focusing it back to Kevin Samuels, he observed that about all of our messages. That was a common, and that still is a common thread throughout all of our spaces, throughout all of our materials that we put out, the books that we've written, the courses that we do, the coaching sessions that we have with people all over the world. I talk to people from Portugal, from Germany, from Sweden, from the UK, you name it. I talk to men who are interested in the skill sets that we have here as Black American men, who are interested in our experience, who are interested in our solutions to the challenges that are put before us. Because if we can navigate the media behemoth, okay, Disney is here, right? Born here in the belly of the beast. If we can navigate that in a way that allows us to get the type of results that we desire, then they should have no problem following our methodology.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And that's why our message is so popular. That's why Kevin is still so popular, because he took the best of everything that we have to offer. And like Majesty BGF said in his ode to Kevin only presented 10%, if that,
Yeah.
of everything that we have.
What's that? Do you know how multifaceted this area is? We have Artisan MC who owns a comic book shop, and he also is in construction, home remodeling, improvement. I mean, you have Art New Style, who's a college professor in art and high school teacher in art, and I mean, photorealistic drawings and paintings while live. That's one of the hardest things to do.
Right.
You have the master teacher, he who we still trying to figure out what he doesn't know. We had Kevin with his thing. We have Angry Man. We have Obsidian. There's so many multifaceted men with different. Like, I remember being on the panel with Angry Man years ago. One of the biggest shows, he had about 10,000 people watching when we were doing a review of Dragon Ball Super.
Okay.
And he could give you different aspects of what the Black community is from. I'm gonna let you finish because you hit the nail on the head with that one.
Listen, we didn't even go there with just the experience that's on this panel right here, the two of us. Okay.
Yeah.
Coming soon. I hint towards the things that I do. I've taught jazz. I'm a jazz trumpeter. I've played at different jazz fests, including in Massachusetts and in other places. I teach tennis. Along with being a seduction coach. All right, seduction that's the glamour. All right, seduction that's the bow on top.
Oh yeah, that's the bow.
Oh yeah, but once we start, and I think that our efforts are going to start to become more solidified and start to accelerate. Our marching cadence is going to start to become faster. It's going to quicken. Our pace is going to quicken because of this event, because of what's happened here. Because we know, at any time that could be anybody, for whatever reason. Okay, and it doesn't matter how much money you got. It doesn't matter how much fame you have. And I want to say this, and address. I don't know if you had any questions or anything. But I had a Patreon subscriber ask me a question. He said, because I had discussions about validation, and there are a lot of examples of men who say that they get validation from their mom. The mom is their biggest fan, or they get validation from their kids, or they get validation from their dad or whomever. A Patreon subscriber recently asked me, now at the place that I'm at right now, what validates me? Where do I get my validation? And I thought about it, and I said, right now my validation comes from the impact of my work. And whatever it is that I put out, if I can get a response from somebody who benefited from something that I produced and that I put out, that validates my efforts. And so what I want to put out to other people is that at the end of the day, as a man, when we are younger, when we are younger men, we look to the group, we look to our parents, we look to our teachers for validation, proof of us doing the right thing. But as men, we've actually done something. We've actually accomplished things. We've produced what we know that we have inside of us to contribute to the collective. Our validation will come from how our work, how our talents, how what we do affects and impacts people locally, nationally, and globally. And I think that that's the most poignant takeaway that an observation that I can make about Kevin Samuels. He
It's
undoubtedly impacted the culture globally.
yeah.
And I mean, in terms of validation, for anybody who's ever just wanted to be who they truly are, I don't think that there's a better form of validation than that.
I think that one, if this live stream hasn't proven something, it proves that being on a panel with three different women, game is not trying to just get inside of a woman's pants. That's what, and we talked about that. Trust me, we need to sell tickets next time we go to the cigar lounge.
Absolutely, get a mic, get the mics set up.
We need to bring the computer. I'm gonna bring the computer. I'm gonna have to find some mics, and we're gonna have to sit down and talk about that because game is how you talk to people. Even when the ladies came up and they were giving Kevin his flowers, and even when there was a disagreement, the game could settle it back and be like, "Hey, sweetheart, it's not that big. Hey, this is how." Knowing how to speak to people is an art form, and Kevin was the PhD of that shit.
Right.
Of
Absolutely.
course, of course, so are you, and a few
Listen,
others. But a lot of people don't understand that the game is just the speaking, because that's just part of your presentation. I'm a
exactly.
comic book fan. A lot of girls who know it, guess what? They were like, I'm not into that. But because of my presentation of telling them about it and also who I am and what I am, the same girls who I dated who weren't into it, they became into it. As a matter of fact, they would buy me little knickknack and gifts because they cared about me as the individual and the presentation that I am. And it goes back into what you said in validation. Do you validate yourself first? Are you proud of your accomplishments first? See, in the Black community, we're too materialistic to understand validation. We look for validation in things, we look for validations in sex instead of validation of the mind and the soul. Are you comfortable being in the shoes that you're in? Guess what? If you're a big girl, be the best damn big girl you know. And guess what? Be healthy. Get your weight down. You're looking at your boy who had enough sugar in his blood that he could have went into a coma in less than a week. I got it down.
Right.
Does our own self be true? And see that validation. You got to validate yourself. To me, when they said you're diabetic, I said it's just one more opponent I got to conquer. See, people don't know me because I'm a wrestler who wrestled internationally, freestyle.
Right.
I had to conquer you. Even if you're stronger, faster, or more cunning, I got to dig down deep in the worlds unseen and lands unknown. And that's what a lot of people in the community need to do. They need to invoke their inner strengths. They need to invoke their inner validation.
Yeah, I think a lot of us, especially in this country, suffer from so many traumas, so many things that are passed down generationally. To speak to something that you mentioned earlier, retail therapy is what has been offered as a supplement to actual therapy, to actual self-evaluation, to actual, sitting down with elders, sitting down with those who are wiser, sitting down with the stewards of the culture, and sussing out, unpacking piece by piece, level by level, the framework of the traps and the complexes of this system. And that's another jewel and benefit of this particular sector of YouTube. Um, Shout out to the Master Teacher BGS Edmore again, because he and a lot of other contributors methodically, and shout out to the PhDs again, they sit down and they go topic by topic, subject by subject. They break out the scholarly, books, the scholarly articles, and break it down piece by piece, bit by bit, to further unpack the basis of the psychosis that a lot of us suffer from, and get to the source of the traumas that a lot of people choose to ignore. And what that does is it exposes a wound. It exposes a festering wound and an injury that is so deep, but it's so painful. And from all of that information, from the data sets, from the statistics, from the tools that we formulate here to make the observations that we do, what Kevin Samuels was a master at was using those and projecting that outwardly. You see, when we put those tools together here in these spaces, we use those on ourselves, right? We heal ourselves first. And we've been doing that for the last 10 plus years.
Remember that old saying, physician, heal thyself?
Physician, heal thyself. Yes. And so for years, those were the methods and the tools and the techniques and the systems that we have put together as a collective here in these spaces. And we used it on each other first. That's why you had the Coliseum. That's why you had all of the debates and the back and forths. And, I call it the crucible, right? The crucible of the manosphere and the crucible of the Black manosphere, more specific. But then, 2019 hit, 2020 hit, and there was a shift, and there was an opportunity in Kevin Samuels to focus all those tools, those techniques, those systems outwardly to the greater community at large. And because of the situation of the events taking place globally, people had the situation and the opportunity to sit down and to observe those tools at work.
Yeah.
And as Kevin worked those tools, the wounds became more and more present, because the first tool that we use here is the mirror. The very first tool that we use here is the mirror. Okay, you need to be able to look at yourself and evaluate what's going on in your life, what hangups you have, why you say what you say, why do you approach a subject, why does saying, for example, why does the body count affect you, right? I'm just using this as an example. Why do you react the way that you do when somebody says body count? Why do you react the way that you do when somebody talks about your father? Why do you react the way that you do when somebody mentions the government? Let's unpack that. And for years, we've had the opportunity to go back and forth and deconstruct a lot of the social framework and a lot of the programming that has inundated us. So we've had that come to recognition moment. And what Kevin Samuels represented was the outward projection of all of those tools, all of those systems. Well, not all of them, but 10%, a good amount, enough to show the audience, okay, 1.4 million people, who they really are. And what a lot of people found is that they are not who they thought they were. For women in particular, well, first for the men, a lot of men discovered that they were not uh, studs. Okay, they were not.
No, yeah, you ain't land. Not every man's laying it down. Let's just say.
Absolutely, in any way, in any sense of the word, in a bedroom, in a boardroom, in a classroom. Okay, anywhere. Men discovered that they were not who they were, and some men took that as a lesson learned. Other men took that as an insult. You've insulted the straw man that I present to the world. You've offended that straw man that I presented to the world. Second, it was women who, for however long, the conversations have already been had, who have been coddled for so long, who have been, redirected when it came to accountability, who have been held up artificially in places to where they would historically lean on or look to their male counterpart in the culture, And so when it came time, this moment of reckoning, where you have this ascending social media personality who was popular and becoming more and more popular because he was telling the truth from the perspective of men who have done the work, who have done the research, who have done the internal investigation. It was unlike any force that anybody had ever witnessed. Okay, Kevin was a force, not only because of his polished nature, his presentation, not only because of his ability to articulate a point, his polite nature that got him on different popular social media platforms and shows, but because he had the force of the manosphere and the black manosphere in particular behind him. He had the sum of this research. He had the sum of these conversations. He had the sum of the internal work that was done by men of varying backgrounds from all over the world behind him. So that showed how truly powerful this space is. And it's a testament to how much more work and how much more influence and impact we have yet to provide.
And I think we're just getting on it, like you said before, the tip of the iceberg because of what goes on in this space. Like there's a lot of men's health, men's fruition, men's style that if women support, they would actually benefit them.
Absolutely.
Think about it. Your son learns how to tie a tie and wear a proper suit from a man, like a Kevin Samuels or others. Guess what? He's gonna grow as a human being. He's gonna be a multifaceted man. He's see, as a black man, we damn sure gotta live in 2 or 3 different worlds. And it's nothing and we should always praise the guys who make it because in the black community, we hate success. We hate it like nothing else.
Now, what do you think? What do you think fuels that hate?
Jealousy.
And when you say success, what do you mean success? What do you classify as success?
Leaving the confines of the hood, as people would say. And there's many of people who like, well, you think you're better than us. Maybe, maybe not. I mean, you gotta see in our culture, we don't understand that there's some people who are just better at something than us, than the rest of us. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
We should always be like, you know what? You're doing real good, brother. Show me how you got great.
Right.
There's a lot of people, even with Kevin, Kevin was really like showing people how to get great. You put in that grind. You
Right.
put in you put in that work. And people think that success is supposed to come. And I've said this before on my panels. I've said this before on panels. Black women have a fear of failure. Black men have a fear of success.
Right. I think it. Not to cut you off, but I think that statement, fear of success, comes from uh, the sort of plague in the back of our minds of sabotaged movements, right? We're constantly
Yep.
bombarded with the image of leaders who came before us who put their necks on the line, and the necks ended up getting chopped, by the very people that they were trying to liberate, right? Um, but on the flip side, our greatest accomplishments and our greatest progress have come from those leaders who have been unapologetic in their mission. And that element right there is the most powerful fuel that we can use and that we can teach others in these spaces. If you truly have a mission and you have a vision, all of the elements and forces, either known, unknown, perceived to be true, or just a figment of our imagination, all of those forces to be damned, as long as you carry that mission out to the best of your ability and leave it all on the field, you've done your best. You've done what has needed to be done. And who knows in terms of what you'll see come to fruition. We may always just be laying the groundwork for something that will take root in our children's generation or even their children's generation. Hey, I remember your granddad talked about this, or how I remember your dad talked about this. Why don't we explore that? Right? Um, but the fear of success, I think that deserves its own discussion in and of itself, because that's obviously the product of negative self-image, which again, shout out to the style godfather, right? Kevin Samuels, he was all about positive image, both personally, by your group, by your community, and by your entire culture. Changing that negative stereotype, changing that negative ethnic image. And I mean, everybody who has observed his legacy has to admit that he knocked one hell of a piece, out of that negative ethnic image. There's nobody who's going to remember him, without being in a suit. There's no one that's going to remember him not being articulate. There's no one that's not going to remember that he promoted and preached standards. Those three things right there, right, are a framework or a foundation for a positive ethnic image going forward. Now, what people take from that and how they grab that mantle or grab those elements and move forward with it, and what they choose to build, that's up to the individual and the collective moving forward. But now we can truly say that the groundwork has been laid on a large scale. On a large scale. Comedians can't even parody Kevin Samuels without wearing a suit.
Yeah, you can't. It doesn't work. And ultimately, what makes it even funnier is that a lot of people were feeling what Kevin said. A lot of people were really saying, you know what? I want this change for me, and not being apologetic about it. I want to see this future for me my family, my wife, my girlfriend, my daughters, my sons, my community. What's wrong with being a fly brother in a suit? Think about this, right? When brothers wear a suit compared to a white guy wear a suit, it's a world of a difference.
Absolutely. That has to do with the mainstream narrative. When a white guy wears a suit, he blends in. When a brother wears a suit, he stands out.
Yeah, and it's
And
crazy because think about it. You can imagine Idris Elba as James Bond.
absolutely. And now you talked about comic books. The James Bond series. That's one of my favorite action series.
Yeah,
Um, and to consider the prospect of Idris Elba taking on the 007 moniker, um, it would be interesting to see how they play that out. I doubt that he would be named James Bond. I think he'll take on the 007
yeah.
tag.
It's
Uh,
fun because you look at the brother and that's smooth. Like that's the definition of smooth. And when you look at Kevin when he wore his different suits, his outfits, and how particular he was and meticulous, that's a black man who's comfortable. That's a black man who's ready to show the world who he is and what he knows. Even the Bible
Absolutely.
talks about being as bold as a lion. And people said, well, Kevin was a little rough sometimes when he coached. A good coach is going to be rough because he expects the best out of whoever he's coaching.
Yeah, that's interesting. Two things to speak to what you just said, but somebody put Mike Tyson, Michael Jordan, Denzel, and Spike Lee in the chat. You got some of our most popular icons there, and I got stories about a couple of them. But to speak to what you just said, um, I can speak firsthand about that because I have and I still do coach some of the people that Kevin has coached privately. Um, in his spaces. And when they come to me for the um, the speech, the the how to position yourself, the scene setup, the my wheelhouse, my specialty. And they say that they've come from Kevin Samuels, they'll be like, yeah, I got my suit that's already ordered, tailored. I got my custom, fragrance on this way. We talked about, shoes. They tell me about the things that Kevin, broke down to them meticulously, like marching orders, and how they get homework assignments and everything like that. That's one of the most important takeaways, because you never know when a coaching client is going to re-up or come back. They may not, but if you give them something that they can leave and take away from the session tangibly, then you've done your job, and you've affected them in a way that will promote change and evolution in their development. But to speak to, I'm going to say this one thing. You mentioned Mike Tyson, Michael Jordan, and Spike Lee. I'll tell you this: anybody who's ever seen Michael Jordan play, and I've been fortunate enough to see both Michael Jordan and LeBron James play. And I'll say this: when when you when I saw Michael Jordan play, it looked like a one grown man playing on a basketball court with 9 other toddlers. Okay, and obviously he wasn't the tallest on the court, but his persona was so great that he dwarfed every other player on that court. And there was only one other player that I saw, that I witnessed, have that effect, and that was LeBron. And the interesting thing about that is when you're someone who has the qualities of a leader, there is really nothing that can shield your light, that can stifle, that vision. And it carries out in everything that you do. It carries out in the way you walk, the way you hold yourself, the way that you look a person in the eyes, that you carry the attention of the person that you're engaging in your speech. But more importantly, it carries itself out in the legacy that you leave and the vision that you project to others. A true leader is always, always promoting the mission. Hey, I'm Cousin T, I do this. Or, hey, Officer Faulkner, CEO of Black Lion Security. You know what I'm saying? Like, a true leader leads with the mission. And I think that that's one of the biggest points of contention between men and women in this current climate. You can blame it on, feminism, whatever you want to click, I don't know what you call it, the women's movement or whatever. People trying to claim that everybody's the same, that men and women are the same and equal and all that good stuff. But obviously that's not the case. And that's because of these core things right here. Men, when we get together, we search for truth. Women, when they get together, they search for their truth. And what that means in terms of the difference between us is that men will put our egos to the side, we'll put all of our differences to the side in search of truth. Women, they will put up with each other in order to get their truth out of the situation. We're very, very different. So, in terms of the takeaways from this particular weekend, I just want you to keep, because I don't do live streams, but I want to keep encouraging you to do as many live streams on this topic as possible, on this subject as possible, for as long as the gas is in the tank for this particular subject, because there's so many angles that this can be approached from, and that it deserves, and that it needs to be approached from. And mark my words, people are going to be clipping and starting whole channels. They already have done it, but you know how people have different clips and interviews of Patrice O'Neal. It's gonna be the same thing for Kevin Samuels. He's gonna be like,
he's going to be like Patrice O'Neal and Kevin Samuels were before their time,
right?
And the mission carries on, and as the lady said, they gave him his flowers while he was living and after his passing. And women who are women are going to take notice. Women who are women and want to see good families and want to see prosperity for the community, they're gonna be there. So we don't have to worry about that. See, the crazy part about it is that we're not going to try to shame the women to loving us, because the women who already love us do. We're going to go seek, one, our own validation within ourselves. Then, when we get the validation, we're going to get the body right. We're going to get the money right. We're going to get the soul right. Then, you're going to get into finding a mate, whether it's here or overseas. And once you accomplish that mission and you have your mission statement, you do everything within your power to get it. So, about to end this real quick. Any last thoughts, Cousin Tito? Always a pleasure when you come around.
No, definitely my pleasure. And you just let me know the timeline. And if you ever find yourself in the Midwest, man, I definitely know some great spots we can hit up. But
definitely.
Overall, and at the end of the day, I again, salute to you, salute to the panel, salute to your chat for keeping this conversation going. It's very, very necessary. Forget the haters. Forget the haters. I don't care if the haters are male, female, politician, paid for, bought and paid for celebrity who wants to distance themselves. No, fuck that. this is an all call for everybody who is real. I know when people say, black men talk about keeping it real, they always get it misconstrued. They try to say that the most hood or the most dusty dudes talk about keeping it real. No, the most sophisticated and the most qualified black men are the ones who say keep it real. And what keeping it real means is keeping it righteous and keeping it with an eye towards the truth. And as long as we keep it that way, everything that we touch will find success.
Oh, yes. It's the Midas touch, baby. Now, before we get out of here, I want everybody to go on your emojis and put up a black fist and a cup in the air for Kevin Samuels. Whew. We got to do this every time we talk about the Godfather, man.
I agree. Listen, and I'll probably keep it to my Patreon, but man, listen, we're Black Americans, okay? Part of our tradition is ancestor and venerating our ancestors. All right. So those who are from down south, you know what I'm talking about. Get your picture, get your scented candle, get your can of Red Bull, get your bottle of Nautica, put that together. That's called an altar. Okay, we got a new ancestor to venerate.
Oh yeah, we got a new one. Oh yeah, we got to do this. 1, 2, 3. Woo! Thanks again, cousin Tita.
Salute. My pleasure.
Put them cups in the air, people. Put them cups in the air before we get out. I want to see 117, 120 people with their black fists and cups in the air for the Godfather, baby. That's how you send a brother out. That's how you send a brother out. Thank you. And thank you all for watching. Thank you for the lovely ladies who came on and expressed themselves and given Kevin his flowers. Woo! We are out of here.
Woo!